It's all systems go at the Orlando Stadium in Soweto for the mega 105th ANC anniversary celebrations. Now, thousands of ANC supporters are expected to descend upon the Orlando Stadium for the birthday celebrations. Now, ahead of the 105th year celebration of the ANC, President Zuma has reiterated the party's commitment to serve the nation and work for a better South Africa. Addressing the gala dinner at Sandton, President Zuma said that transformation, education and equal opportunities for all will be the core focus areas for the government. Now joining us from the Orlando Stadium in Soweto is my colleague Gurabedzi Mahlobo. Gurabedzi, once again, good morning to you, and we will be handing over to you.
A very good morning to Lesotho and good morning also to our viewers. Well, we're actually at Orlando Stadium, and before I actually get to my studio guests, I just want our cameraman just to pan for us, just to show you visuals of the stadium. We're at Orlando Stadium. It's a bit of a cold day outside, a bit cloudy, but as you can see, the stage is set, preparations are set, and members have been arriving since the early hours of this morning. Remember that the Secretary General of the ANC did say that the Orlando Stadium should be packed out today by members and supporters of the ruling party, the African National Congress. Well, joining me right now in studio is Jessie Duarte, the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC. A very good morning to you, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you and good morning to all South Africans. Happy birthday to the ANC.
A very happy birthday to the ANC.
Thank you.
Just please take us through the preparations that the ANC went through before getting to today to make sure that there's maximum attendance.
Yes. Well, it usually starts quite early. Mobilizing people in various provinces. We have 800 buses that have been procured from various parts of the country coming here today. We're embracing the rain. We're telling people to come with their raincoats and rain hats if they can. The stadium is half covered, which means that half of the stadium won't have any rain, but it's the bottom half that we're a bit concerned about. However, we are confident that people will come out. We've had a lot of mobilization on the ground. We've sent the NEC out to the length and breadth of the country to explain what January the 8th is about. It's the founding date of the ANC. We talk about our values in finding the ANC. Unity is the biggest issue for us, uniting not only the ANC, but uniting our country, and the ANC playing a role in working within communities to make sure that there's unity in action on any community issue. So there's been quite a lot of work done.
Now, there have also been some campaigns on social media from opposition parties trying to deter supporters from coming to the stadium. Now, what have you guys done to ensure that they don't get deterred by those?
You know, it is a fact that people, younger people, look at social media, have an influence, and naturally the absolute enmity that is produced by the DA. The DA has not understood that we're in a multi-party democracy, that we need to work together. And in any case, we can do very little about what they say on social media. All we can do is to hope and pray that young people will understand that the ANC is the only organization that is progressive and will be able, working with them, to make South Africa a better place for everyone to live in.
Now, 2017 is a very defining year for the African National Congress. Yes. What's on the topmost part of the wish list for the party this year?
Every year is a defining year in our country. So in this year we will focus mainly on uniting the people, uniting the ANC. We have a high-level action plan on the issues of education, in particular higher education. The government has done a lot to make sure that higher education progressively is being made free for the poor and the working class on a progressive basis. But we believe that we need to do much more in terms of understanding that our success at a primary level is going to grow year on year. And that means that we need more infrastructure, more facilities, and that's long-term good planning. Returning the land to the people is one of our big matters for this year. We believe that the time has come to say to South Africans that we will have to implement what our constitution tells us to do. We'll also have to implement our laws, such as the Expropriation Act, to make sure that land is expropriated for public use. Naturally, this is going to be contentious. We understand that, but we cannot go on and on and on having a negotiation on a matter that is fundamental to the freedom of our people. Our economy as well, ensuring that there is a major shift towards getting this economy into the hands of the demographic majority in this country. I think we're the only country in the world where the demographic majority is not in control of its own economy. And unfortunately, we have to acknowledge that there are two South Africas. And so we're working on that. We want to work with business, with the private sector, as we've done to undermine the downgrades. And we thank everybody who put the effort in to working against the downgrading of our economy by banks who had invested their money and time into finding people to do that for them. We also will be looking very closely at matters that are very pertinent, ordinary people's lives, drug abuse, or criminality in its entirety, and of course, fighting and combating corruption unapologetically, whether it is corruption within the state, whether it is corruption inspired by an ANC member who is in the state. We believe that a lot has been done, but we rely on the courts to take the matters forward. And we will be working a lot harder on making sure that corruption is undermined, no matter where it is or who it is. So the ANC's portfolio of actions is very full, and we have a determination, courage and will to make sure that the things that we want to see achieved this year will be achieved.
Now, as the ANC Women's League, they are actually in support of the comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma to be the next president of the party.
Yes.
Do you think South Africa is ready for a female president?
You know, it's a very strange question to me when people say, are we ready for a female? Are we ready for... The question that we must put is, we will have a president of South Africa, whether that president is a man or a woman. And we cannot have a situation where we ask a question that talks to whether we're ready for a woman president. Of course we would be. We have remarkable women in this country. And Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma is an outstanding woman. There's no doubt about her. Her track record speaks for itself. So clearly, if she is to be a candidate, she's a very worthy candidate. There are other candidates, however, and we must remember that this is a contest, and we're hoping that that contest will be fair, that the branches will be allowed to make a determination that will be in the best interest of our country.
Now, the Secretary General has reiterated that there'll be no separate consultative conference, but yet the veterans seem to still want to persist on having a separate consultative conference. Is there a bit of a deadlock there, or is there a final agreement set? Will they still come back?
Well, we only heard through the media that the veterans had a meeting and that they feel that they would like to de-link the concept of discussing the challenges within the ANC from the policy conference. So we are meeting the veterans again in 2 weeks' time. We'll have further discussions. We also, however, want to say that we want to encourage all members of the ANC to please engage the ANC and join the branches of the ANC. The best way for us to strengthen the ANC, whether we're a veteran or a member of the ANC Youth League or a member of the ANC Women's League, is to be engaging the ANC at a level where it matters most, and at a level where we develop future leaders of our country, and not begin to form small little caucus groups that would want to see themselves being given special treatment. The ANC's decision, as it is at the moment, is that we will have a 2-day discussion on the challenges of the ANC, and all veterans and other interested parties will be invited to that discussion, and then it will be followed by our formal policy conference.
Now, there's also been some calls for the ANC leaders to pass the baton on to youth. Do you agree with that, seeing as some of the opposition parties are actually led by younger people?
There is an absolute need in a developing country to respect experience. And whilst the ANC agrees that young people have to be in the forefront of leadership in our country, and the ANC has very bright young people. We have Malusi Gigaba, we have Fikile Mbalula, we have Nomvula Mukunyani, we have a host of very, very bright young people leading in very serious portfolios at the moment. What we need to do is never give up on the generational mix that has been the cornerstone of our characteristics of the ANC. There's always been a generational mix. And the notion that the ANC will be replaced completely by only young people is not a very well-founded notion. Experience counts. And in an organization as big as the ANC, we must respect the values that come with institutional memory. And we hope that young people will understand that the only way to learn is within the organization from each other. Older people can also learn from young people and vice versa.
Well, just another note, Paul Mashatile has said that there appears to be some denialism and a lack of courage to deal with the crisis within the ANC. Would you agree with that?
That's his opinion. My own opinion is there's no denialism. The ANC has very boldly discussed at its NEC what the challenges are that face the ANC. We can't stay on looking only at challenges. We've got to come with solutions as well. So lamenting about the challenges doesn't take us forward. What takes us forward is actually working on how to resolve those issues. I think that we need to be very careful about casting the ANC into a mold as an organization that is perpetually hampered only by challenges. We're a large organization. We do have challenges, but we also have very productive plans which are in motion at the moment, which are being implemented by an ANC government. And I think that we need to temper our own individual angers in a manner that shows that we do understand that there is progress and that we take and give leadership in addressing challenges where we come across them.
Now, President Zuma has cautioned some religious leaders to actually avoid getting involved in divisive party politics. What's your thought on the role of religious leaders and politics?
Throughout the history of the ANC, there have been traditional and religious leaders who have been part of the body of the ANC. And the ANC, as you know, was founded in a church, founded by reverends and priests and so on. So the churches have played a very big role in determining the issues around which the ANC centers itself. It is important that there must be balance in the manner in which religious leaders in particular voice their views, so that when they do so, they tell both sides of a story. Having only one view indicates a fundamentalism on any aspect and on any issue, which can also influence people incorrectly. I think that we embrace the religious community, all religions in this country. We embrace the leadership of the various churches in South Africa. We work with many of them on a daily basis. Like any other sector, balance is very important. And subjectivity should be something that a religious person should be careful about. When they become totally subjective on an individual, have they looked at all sides of the situation? And I think the Bible informs them to do exactly that, and the Quran and the Torah and the Hindu scripts as well. So hopefully our people will begin to understand that the ANC is an open organization. We accept criticism. We also ask that criticism comes with a solution.
Constructive criticism, of course. Now, there have been some narratives about certain factionalism in the party. Do you believe that there is factionalism in the party?
Of course there is.
How should it be dealt with?
You know, you can't ever do away with factions, frankly speaking. It's part of the body of politics. People have particular opinions. What is important is that we don't allow factions to drive the core agenda of the ANC, or that one faction more dominant than another has all the sway and say in the organization. And so the way I would prefer not to have factions, frankly speaking. I think they're dangerous. I think factions based not on ideology are very dangerous factions. I can deal with a faction if it's ideological, but factions based on needing to procure resources, factions based on wanting a particular leader to lead so that I can benefit from that person. Those are the dangerous factions that we must all guard against. And we must make sure that we undo those kinds of factions. There's nothing wrong with having very important ideological differences. We do have those.
We're going to have to speak a little bit louder because of the music outside.
I'm trying.
Well, this is actually the last time that President Zuma will be giving this January 8th statement as the president of the party.
Yes.
What emotions does that draw?
Well, I think for every leader, that moment does come. And for every president of the ANC, that moment has indeed come. And I think that President Zuma's attitude is that after December 2017, he continues to be a member of the ANC, working in the organization, building the ANC, giving it some direction from wherever he's working from. And we will never lose his organizational experience because that's the kind of person that he is. And hopefully we will see more of him once he is no longer the president of the country either, which will happen at the end of sometime in 2019. So I think for him, this is quite a moment, but I think it's internalized. It's inevitable. It happens.
Actually, just mentioning 2019 elections, do you think that ANC will be able to regain the metros that they lost in the 2016 local elections?
We're very determined to do so. We believe that our people stayed away from the last election. That's why we won wards. We won the election in a way, but we lost through the people staying away, and we didn't have a sufficient number of people going to vote. So you have 3 metros run by coalitions. Nobody won, actually. We are determined to win those back, stronger, better, and more united.
And lastly, what do you expect to be at the topmost of the president's speech today?
Unity, the question of the economy being put into the hands of the majority of South Africans, the issue on education, and he will say something about that. He will talk to the fact that we need to develop the notion of planning. The president was the one who actually came with the idea of a national development plan. Land planning and the correct utilization of land is going to be a big topic in his speech. Other issues that he will deal with is to look at the ANC itself and to talk to the values of our organization and how we take those values forward, and how it is important for a liberation movement the ANC is rooted amongst the people, but to strengthen that root, and he's going to talk about that.